home. Just wanna go home, back home. I've been gone for way too long.
Wait, we're filming?
Just wanna go home. I'm on my way back home.
Hey guys, welcome to Never Skip Brunch. If it's your first time here, my name is Cara. Thank you so much for watching. Today we are going to be revamping a boring utility cart and turning it into a gorgeous bar cart. So bar carts are super trendy right now. It's easy to see why. It's literally a functional accent piece, which is like what dreams are made of. So if you've done any bar cart shopping, you know that these things can get pricey fast. If you're looking for a piece that is interesting, can add personality and color to your house, they get expensive. So today I'm going to show you how to transform a boring utility cart into a gorgeous bar cart for way less than $50. Before we get started, make sure to hit that red subscribe button below so you can stay up to date with all my fun and fresh ideas. Okay, let's talk about what you'll need. So I'll link all these things in the description box below so you can shop my exact products, but feel free to make this cart your own with different paint colors or different kind of accents. You want this obviously to be a reflection of you and add personality to your space. So if there's a paint color I'm using or something I'm doing where you're like, that does not work, own it, make it your own. So the first thing you're going to need, obviously, is a utility cart. So this whole project is based around this utility cart that you can get at Target. They've had this model for almost 2 years or more. Like, I've had mine at least 2 years, so this has been around a while. All this is based off of that one in terms of measurements, dimensions, all of that. So if you were using a different utility cart, you want to double check that for yourself. So the second thing you're going to need is some spray paint. So for my projects, when I'm doing an accent piece that I really want to make it look fun and interesting, I usually go with like white and gold and a pop of color. My usual gold spray paint is very metallic-y. It's very like chrome and shiny, but I changed it up a little bit this time and I went with this spray paint, which is a little bit more muted. It's sparkly, but it's kind of a more muted, calm down sparkle. It is the Champagne Mist from Rust-Oleum. I hate this sprayer. Holy crap. The paint came out in a very coarse spray. It took me like 4 coats to get good coverage. This sprayer sucks. What I did like, however, is the color. This is such a good color. It's such a good gold that's not overly cheesy. Like, a lot of gold can look cheesy if you're spray painting things. It just looks cheap and kind of like you cheated, because you did. But this gold, it was a really good color. So then you're going to need some acrylic paint. So I used these 2 tones. There we go. Sherbet and Hot Coral from Target. They're just acrylic paints. You can literally use any kind of acrylic paint. This is going to be for the inserts that you're going to put in the bottom of your shelves, so you can use any paint color. But if you want what I used, this is how you get it. You mix yellow with this, just a little tinge, and then you mix yellow and red with this to get like a deeper pink. Okay, the next thing you need is a cork roll. So this is what a cork roll looks like. It's just kind of like thin, and as you can see, it rips pretty easily, and it's kind of crumbly. So this is gonna go in the bottom of your shelves that have this mesh metal on the bottom, which is very functional but entirely ugly. I used my cork to kind of create a base in here. The cork is pretty bendable, so the way that I got my cork to stay flat and in the bottom of this shelf was to secure it to a base I made out of balsa wood. You're going to need 2 sheets of this that is larger than your shelf. So as you can see, it's like super thin. If you use balsa wood, you're going to have to use a jig saw to cut it. So if you don't have a jigsaw, you can use cardboard instead of balsa wood. You can cut that with a box knife or scissors. And you need a kind of balsa wood stick. So it's basically like 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, then 3 feet long. So what we're gonna do with that is create a base on one of your shelf inserts to lift the shelf insert up a little bit and give room for your nuts and bolts to come through that are gonna be holding your glass holder on. So yeah, the next thing you need is a glass holder. These you can snag from IKEA. They are, I want to say like $6. These are perfect. It fits like almost perfectly onto the bottom of this shelf. So it really looks like it's built in a part of the shelf. Thing is, when you attach this, you're gonna have little bolts and nuts coming out the other side through the mesh. I used a little skinny stick of balsa wood to kind of create like a little rectangular box. Pop it up a 1/2 inch, and then it gives you space for those bolts and nuts to come through. So that being said, you need some bolts and nuts. Any bolt will work that fits through this hole and has a corresponding nut. So I also added a washer because my little bolts, I picked tiny ones and the nuts were slipping through the mesh. So it's good to throw a washer on there. Basically, you need 4 of each of those. Then the very last thing that you need is a 3M hook bar. So these are basically just a little bar with 4 different hooks on them. These I want to say are like $7 to $10. This fits so perfectly on the short side of the bar between the handles. It looks so built in. I spray painted mine gold so that it would match the handle. It's a great place to have your bottle openers, your wine openers, or a little hand towel hanging. It's just good, like little extra storage on the outside of your bar cart since we are taking away a shelf. And then the last thing you need in terms of materials is some printer paper. You can really use anything like newspaper. I just used printer paper to make a template because the shelves are a little curved. I needed to make sure I was getting the right curve on the insert so that it fit well. And then in terms of tools, you need a screwdriver, scissors, a jigsaw, if you're using balsa wood, a box knife if you're using cardboard, and then some wood glue, and then some spray adhesive. For spray adhesive, I like the Gorilla brand. Basically it comes in a can that looks sort of like spray paint, but it's adhesive. Okay, so those are all the things you'll need for this DIY. Let's dive in. Step number 1 is to paint the handle and kind of outside frame of your cart. I chose to paint that gold and then leave the shelves all white because I wanted a little bit of contrast. You can just remove the shelves, or if you just got this bar cart, you can just build it and then leave the shelves out. I also took the wheels out because I didn't want to be spray painting and gumming those up. Give it a good coat of spray paint. Mine took like 3. You just want to make sure that it's fully coated and all the way dry. Be careful of the little holes for the bolts that hold your shelves. You don't want to like spray a bunch of paint in those and fill up the thread. I didn't do anything to like cover these up. I just like was really careful when I sprayed around them to not spray into them. Here's what mine looked like when it was all done getting painted. Step number 2 is to start creating the inserts for your shelves. So basically this thing. So I first used printer paper to kind of trace the corner of the shelf, get that curve right, and then I kind of used multiple pieces of paper to kind of tape into the inside, tape to each other basically to make a pattern or a template for me to use for my cuts. On the cork board, I just traced it with a Sharpie and then cut it out with some scissors. And then for the balsa wood, I traced it and then used my jigsaw to cut it out. So I don't have video of me using the jigsaw because I just did it really quickly in my dark, creepy garage. So hopefully you know how to do that. If you don't, just do it carefully, wear protection, and just try to make sure you get your template cut out pretty accurately, because you don't want it to be uneven and have a bunch of gaps when you go to put it in the bottom of your shelf. You're gonna need 2 balsa wood pieces and then 2 corkboard pieces, and then I just glued them together with spray adhesive. So I like to spray my spray adhesive onto the cork because it kind of absorbs a little bit, and then you can see kind of where you need more. Pay special attention to the edges. You don't want to like not give it enough and have them able to raise up. You want them really, really stuck on there. So make sure you get the edges stuck down. The reason for that is cork is super crumbly, so if it's not really stuck down, it's going to easily bend and crumble off on the edges. Once you have those glued together, you are ready to paint. So for painting these, I basically gave them a coat of my gold paint because I don't really like the way cork is just by itself. I did a layer of my spray paint, and then once that dried, I taped off and kind of did some geometric shapes. So I used my pink paints, which I mixed up, and then just did a couple triangles, and then kind of did some little white dots on kind of like champagne bubbles, but you know, you can do whatever pattern you want. Another idea I had would be to use fabric to cover these. If you are not good at painting or you don't like the way paint looks, you could really snag a piece of fabric, spray some spray adhesive, and paint and put fabric on these. That way you could get like a really fun pattern or texture, and that would be super, super easy too. The next step is to use your balsa stick to create the little riser that goes under one of your shelf inserts. You're going to cut it into 2 11-inch pieces and 2 7-inch pieces. And then just align those up into a rectangle on the bottom of your shelf insert, and then glue those down with wood glue. I used my glass holder to fit it over my box and make sure I was going to have plenty of space to secure my glass holder on the outside of the riser. This will help you make sure the riser fits down into your shelf and leaves room for those bolts to pop through that are securing your glass holder to the bottom of the shelf. The next step is attaching the glass holder to the bottom of this. So I basically just flipped mine over and centered it in the middle, and you just kind of want to move it around until you can see that it lines up with mesh holes on all 4 sides. It took me a second to find a place where it lined up. I had to like move it back and forth a little bit and kind of figure it out, but you just want to line it up, put your bolts and screws through. And then once that's attached, you can just set it aside for later. The next step is to reassemble the bar cart. So quick tip, put your inserts into your shelves first, because they're gonna have a hard time, the edge, getting over the little bump in the bolt that attaches them to the frame. So put these in your shelves first and then reattach them. I attached my wheels to my frame first, then I put my shelf inserts into the shelves, and then I attached them back on with the bolts. Now the other thing is that you want to be careful, because this metal on the metal of your frame can scratch the paint that you put on pretty easily. So you want to make sure that that's fully dry, and you want to be careful when you're putting the shelves back on that you don't scratch your frame. If you do, I mean, I did, so I had to do some touch-up paint, which is super simple, but it's easier if you don't have to break the paint out again. You want to attach the shelf with the drink holder. It's going to go on the top, and then the shelf that has no drink holder goes on the bottom. After those are attached, you can put on your 3M bar of hooks. I spray painted that, and then once it was dry, I just used like little 3M stickies to push it on one of the smaller sides. It fit right between the handles and it looked really built in. So yeah, putting it back together is super, super simple. After that, it's time to style it, which is like my favorite part. I styled mine for a Valentine's Day brunch, which that post is coming up next on the vlog. So I had like pink glasses and some like gold shiny bottle openers from the Never Skip Brunch shop, and then my wine and glasses. I even put like a little plant just to keep things interesting, and then a picture of a delicious cocktail. So obviously style it with whatever you have. So here's the finished result.
Home, home, just wanna go, home, home, back home. I've been gone for way too long. Home, home, just wanna go, home, home. I'm on my way back home.
I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up down below. Come on, do it, do it. And then don't forget to subscribe because I have so many fun and fresh DIY tutorials, home decor tips, and all of that kind of good stuff coming at ya. So I would love if you joined the Brunch Babe community. It's a really fun place to be.
Home, home, just wanna go, home, home, back home. I've been gone for way too long. Home, home, just wanna go, home, home. I'm on my way back home.